Too much SPL here, and welcome back to the channel. Today's episode is going to be all about the PC programming that you need to do the eFan upgrade to actually get it to completion. Just putting the eFans in is just not good enough. There's some computer work we have to do on the backside. My guys with the green-blue PCM, you guys have it the easiest. It's pretty much just numbers you're putting in and everything is going to work. The guys with the red-blue PCM, if you got air conditioning, there's going to be a few extra things you might have to wire up and buy. But the good thing is, if you're not running AC with the red-blue PCM, you're going to follow along just like the green-blue guys, and you're going to be up and running. So, without further ado, let's get right to it. Now, typically, you see me jump straight into the actual programming and stuff like this, but let me kind of explain what's really happening, and that'll give you a gist on what's really going on here. What we have on the ground here is a fan harness from off a, I think, mid-2000s Silverado Sierra truck with the electric fans on it already. This fan harness has everything you need to do this upgrade much cleaner and much simpler, and more important, much safer. There are a couple cheap eBay options that are made in China that will absolutely burn your shit to the ground. Do not put that stuff on your car, guys. You guys see on Instagram, you see the videos of good, nice cars burning. It's because of shit China wire that people are putting in their cars. Stop using some of that stuff on heavy load items like fans or big stereo systems. Stick with pure copper, stick with factory copper. You know this stuff is made to last. All right, that's enough preaching. So let me explain how this works. Let's start from the fan end. These connectors plug directly into your fan, into both fans, 1 and 2. This is a ground, and all this is all in one harness, and it comes up, and it comes up. The GM harness has its own controller box with its own relays built into it. It also has its own fuse on it and everything, and this goes onto a positive lug off to your fuse box or something like that. The keen eye might notice these two wires right here, and this is where all the magic happens at. These will plug directly into the PCM, and this will give the PCM control over the fans. With the relays attached to this, these are now just low amperage negative triggers. So basically, engine gets hot. I don't know which one to point to. I forgot which one is what. One of these is low speed, and it grounds both of them. It gives high speed. Engine gets hot. PCM sends a low amperage negative to this wire. The relay does the magic. One of the fans turn on low speed. Things get a little more toasty. The PCM sends ground to both of these wires. Relay does its magic. Both fans are spinning at high speed. And that's basically how it works. And now, some of the guys with a little more electrical experience are probably doing some math in their head. If all this needs is a low amperage negative, you pretty much don't need the PCM. And you're actually right about that. If you want to do a manual switch on this, just go into a temporary ground with a toggle switch, kind of like what we do on the PCM programming, you can totally do that and have full manual control of your fans whenever you want. It's a viable option. This is a good harness to grab and use, and a lot of people have done it that way. I'm fucking fat and lazy, and I am not going to be turning switches and shit every day. Fuck that. So I'm going to switch on over to my Nova real fast. Some of you might have noticed this. This is an LQ9 that we took out of an Escalade about a week ago. I have no use for this engine, but you couldn't pass up a 6.0 on 40% off there at Pick and Pull. And it included the PCM, I mean, everything from the intake all the way down to the oil pan. You'd be a fool to pass this up. And just to give you a heads up, I am greedy. I saw this engine on a Wednesday and the sale didn't start till like Thursday or something like that. I'm gonna actually put pictures in there. I cut the frame on this Escalade just in case somebody else wanted it. I did not need this engine or anything like that. But if somebody else wanted it, I cut the frame for them and I left that engine in there for 3 days, and on Sunday it was still there and I just took it. So don't think that the 6.0s aren't out there.
They are definitely out there. You just gotta get off your butt and get out there and go look and get one. But I don't know if I'm gonna put that in here yet because I kind of like the 5.3, and my plan is to boost this. This is the LQ9, the high compression version, and they take boost, but you're kind of limited on how much boost you're gonna put to it. Even though we're setting this up to run E85 anyway, the jury's still out if I'm going to put this in here or not, because I kind of do like this engine, because this was a low mileage engine, and this was also a low mileage engine that was in an accident. So we know both of them run, but this comes with a few more problems. But anyway, let's get over here to the E-fans. Now, excuse my mess of wiring right now, because I haven't touched this car in probably about 3 or 4 months, to be honest with you. We are not running the actual GM fans that this harness goes to. We cut these harnesses off, and we took this fan assembly out of a Dodge Intrepid. These are like the Dodge Intrepid. Actually, no, this came from 300M. The 300M and Dodge Intrepid fans are small and they pack a punch. Where in this engine bay, even though this is a big old car, we could not actually fit a GM truck fan assembly in here because it was just too wide and too long, to be honest with you. So we cut the ends off of the harness. 300M fan harnesses on the end, soldered the connections that made it nice and tight. So the whole harness is GM up into the harness and up into the fans. And it's basically doing the same thing. My actual relay is tucked way down up in there somewhere because I didn't need to see it, and those things are pretty much foolproof to begin this with. But in all, it functions just like it was in a GM truck, and there's no difference. Now, if you do this, I highly advise you guys to test it off the truck, off the vehicle you're putting in, if you're gonna do a fan swap like I did with the 300M fans, to make sure you have the polarity right. Because you want air coming in. You want these in pull mode, where it's pulling air through the radiator on both fans. It did take me a little trial and error. I had this one flipped and I had this one going the right way, where this one was pulling and that one was pushing. And I just flipped the wires. Once I got it right in testing, I crimped it down and soldered it, and everything is good to go. So now that you got a little history lesson on how we're gonna do it, let's jump straight to the PCM and let's get to some programming. All right, we're here at the laptop again. I actually moved the OBDLink in place, as well as the lighted switch, so that way you guys can see key on, and you can kind of see activity lights happening on the OBDLink. And we're gonna get started. If you really wanted to, based off our last video, we can actually go in here and modify our stock 4L80E bin, because it technically is a stock file with no fans turned on to it. But we're gonna do it from the beginning, just in case you guys made a few small changes after the 4L80E swap. Like maybe you did a little math tuning or something like that and you don't remember you did it. It is best to dump your current file off the PCM, modify that, and send that back to the PCM. PCM Hammer reads the PCM. Universal Patcher modifies that file from the PCM, and PCM Hammer sends that file back to the PCM. Let's go to PCM Hammer. We're gonna launch it. Then we're gonna go to Tools. We're gonna hit Read Entire PCM, and then we're gonna name it. Let's name it Nova No Fans. So that way we know exactly what's on this bin file. The PCM has been turned on for 10 seconds, so we're good. So we'll just hit continue. And we're gonna do a read. This takes about, I think 10 minutes or so, I can't remember exact. So we're gonna pause the video. We're gonna come back with our modified file. We're gonna come back with our file to modify. But as you can see, we're just about finishing up here. And it's gonna do a few little self checks and clean things up. And at that point, we'll have our dump file from the PCM. Yes, I actually went back into PCM and turned all this stuff off for you guys. So that way I could be on the same step you're gonna be on when you're turning this on. So you guys, please give me a thumbs up for stuff like that. All right, so now we're gonna launch our Universal Patcher. And we are gonna go to File. We're gonna open bin, and we're gonna open our Nova No Fan bins that we just got dumped. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to minimize this list with this little small minus in the left-hand corner right here. Because we have to tell the PCM that we have fans. So it brings up another little plus right there. And then you're going to go down to vehicle system. And then we're going to go to fans. Actually, I'm sorry. We're going to just click fans. And that's going to bring up this menu over here. Just as a shortcut, the guys who are not running AC, this will be the only list that you would have to use. If you're not going to run AC on your swap, if you're putting this in whatever, and you're not running AC, we're going to do this section of the video for you. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to turn the fans on, tell the PCM we have fans, and we're running a series parallel fan harness, so this is what we're going to use. If we were running a single fan like the Ford Taurus fan, that's a single unit fan, and this is what you would select. But we're going to do series parallel because we have the series parallel harness with dual fans. So we're going to touch that. And just to quickly put these values in, I will explain what the very first one means because it kind of confuses a lot of people. And it's the fan 1 low threshold. Now, you would think the way that's worded is you would basically be, it would be the temperature at which the fan actually turned on. That's actually not the case. It is actually the temperature at which anything below that the fan won't turn on. So this value is 103.9 Celsius. All these values are in Celsius. And that equals 217 degrees Fahrenheit. So basically anything under 217, the fan won't turn on. And a lot of you guys are scratching your heads saying that's a little warm, ain't it? And these are the GM numbers that they put. So I'm going to give you guys all the GM numbers. If you're in the South and you're going up a lot of hills and stuff like that, you can definitely lower these numbers some because these are a touch toasty. I hate the GM numbers. I've always hated them. And it's just a fact. So the next number we're going to do is fan 1 high threshold. Now this is the very first number where if things are getting warm, the PCM is saying, hey, I need to do something. And this value is 108 Celsius, which is 226 degrees Fahrenheit. That's cooking. But these are GM numbers. This is what they use. So the next value we're going to put in, and I'm going out of order. I'm going in this order for a particular reason, and this step is going to explain why. The next thing we're going to do is turn the fan 2 low threshold on, and this is at the lowest temperature that the high-speed fans will ignore. And you want this number a half a degree or whatever away from your fan 1 high threshold. So GM puts 108.51 here. So if you guys want to come up with your own numbers, just remember, if you come up with 102 Celsius, this number must be like 0.5 away if you can, because you don't want this number lower than this number. You want it just slightly above it, no matter what number you come up with. All right, so now our fan 2 high threshold. Now this is the temperature at which the high-speed fans all come on. And GM number for this is 113 degrees Celsius, and that is 235 degrees. That's cooking, and I never liked this number. I'm not running this number, but I'm going to give you guys the stock numbers anyway. So at this point, if you were not running AC, you can basically come in here and hit File, Save Bin As. I would call this Nova with fans or whatever you fancy name you came up with. And then you would actually send that file back to your PCM with PCM Hammer. But a lot of the guys are still running factory AC with this mod. So the rest of this video is for them. So I'm just going to touch something over here because I don't want to have to enter these numbers again, because these numbers are going to be in another list, but I don't want to have to enter them again. So I'm just going to touch something random over here, and it's going to ask me to save it. Or it's asking me to apply the modification. We're going to click yes. I just touched something random on the left-hand corner. So we're going to hit yes. All right, so now we're going to back out of this list, and we're going to go to another main list that has all the AC values in it. Because just because we added AC fans, there are some other values that the PCM needs to know. So basically, I'm just backing out all these lists, and I'm going back to the very first up here in the left-hand corner plus sign. And then I'm going to drag this little slider down. And then we're going to go to fan control. And some of you might have noticed these are the numbers we entered in on the other menu. But we also gained a lot of other values too that we need to change. And we're going to do these. I'm going to try not to go too fast, but I don't have to explain what each one of these is. If you actually highlight above it, or even if you just select something random, it'll basically tell you at the bottom down here what this value does. So I'm going to put these numbers in, and I hope you guys can follow along. I'm going to try to go slow for you guys. So I'm just going to left click on this very first number. And by the way, all these numbers are pulled off a 2005 PCM. I compared it with a 2004, and it was the same thing. I didn't have a 2003 PCM with electric fans to really compare this to. So these are 2005 numbers basically. And some of these values won't apply to a 2003 green-blue PCM. It'll actually kind of tell you that basically you don't have to worry about it. It'll tell you kind of the bottom of this list. All right, so let's enter this first number in. Is 219.9219. When you get to the end, I'm using the keypad on the laptop, so you just press enter, and it'll take you to the next column. And we're gonna go down the list and put all these values in. So the next one is gonna be 150. Our next one's gonna be 309.9609. We're gonna hit enter when we get to the end of that one, just like before. Our next number is gonna be 230.0781. I'm going to press enter. It's going to take me down one column. My next number is 325, which is already entered, so I don't have to worry about that. So we're just going to press enter. This is going to stay 0. This is going to stay max temperature 139.9609. This is what we changed earlier. These are the numbers we changed earlier, but I did it in a quick list for the other guys. And we're just going to keep jumping down all these numbers because we don't need to change any of these just quite yet. And our next number is going to be right here that we're going to change. We're going to put a 1 here. We're going to put a 1 at the next list. I'm just hitting enter once I press 1. And I'm pressing 1 again. Our next value is going to be 0.2. Our next value is going to be 0.3. And for we should be on fan 2 on delay time, which we are. We're going to put 10 seconds for that. Jim puts 10 seconds there. We're going to press enter. Our next value is going to be 0.3. Our next value is going to be 0.2. This is going to stay 50. And this is going to stay 6,500. This is going to stay 5. Now I'm actually going to roll the list with the slider over here so you guys can kind of see where we're at. And I'm just going to roll that 5 that's highlighted blue kind of up to the top a little bit. And then where we can just go straight down the list and keep entering values. So I'm on the second 0.5, and I'm gonna press down because that value stays the same. The 3600 stays in, the 500 stays in, this 503.90.63 stays in. We're just gonna keep working down. All these values right here are gonna stay in, so I'm just pressing the down arrow. I'm just to get down to the bottom. All right, now we're getting to a number that we're gonna have to change. This number should be 45. It's the high vehicle speed fans off AC threshold. So that number should be 45. This number should stay 80. Then we have a 100, a 100, another 100, and then another 100. Then we're going to go down. We're going to keep going down because all these values are going to stay the same. Now, under this 4,500 right there, we have a minimum fan 1 off time. That should be a 1. So we're going to hit 1 and enter. This next value should be 90 and enter. And we should be on minimum fan 2 on time. That's going to be 210. This next one's going to stay 30. This one's going to stay 5. And we're right here right now. And then we should be at 2344. So I'm just going to select that with the mouse. And then I'm going to scroll this down a little bit more because we got a few more things underneath there. And we're going to try to scroll it all the way to the bottom this time. Now remember, this is where we're at right now on our chart. So our next one, oops, I kind of highlight that on you. The next one should be 100, which is exactly where we're at. Our next is, I'm just going to select this so I keep pressing the down arrow on the keypad up here. So now we're at 8,000, which would be slip fan drive high. And we're just going to keep going because all these values are going to stay the same right here. And this is going to stay maxed out. Now this one right here, vehicle speed high AC fan 1 threshold. This number should be 35 miles per hour. And the next value under that should be 30 miles an hour. This should stay 200. And that should stay 192. This should stay 1.2. This will be minus 40. And this will be 98.078 and 0 and 0. And all these should stay the same. And you might notice some of these are clearly saying 04 to 05, 04 to 05. So if these don't show up in your PCM, you can totally skip these. But anyone that was on here that didn't say 04 or 05, make sure you just match up the name that I changed and just slow the video down. Use that fancy pause button in your phone, and go from there. All right, at this point, we can totally save this file. We're gonna go to File. Actually, before we even do that, let's select something else so that way it asks us to apply the modifications, which is what we want to do. And we just selected something random on the list just like earlier. We're gonna click yes, and it saved everything. It locked everything in rather. So now we're gonna hit File, Save Bin As, and then you probably can kind of guess what I'm gonna probably name this. This is gonna be Nova with fans, or whatever fancy thing you named it. Just make sure it's something different from what you named it earlier. Then we're gonna hit Save. And at that point, we can actually close out Universal Patcher because we're done. We can now launch PCM Hammer. We're going to write operating system calibration and boot. We're going to click yes. And then we're going to type Nova with fans. And it's basically going to ask us, do we want to flash as PCM? We're going to hit continue. And that is going to be all she wrote. She's going to flash to the PCM. It's just going to do her thing. And you'll now have fans, basically.
So, and there you have it. I hope you guys really enjoyed these beginner style videos. I know they get a little long, but I like kind of explaining things slowly so that way you guys can get a clear understanding on what's really happening. My Nova is still a work in progress. I had to pause it for a little while because life got in the way. That's a transfer case to my my daily driver, but life happens. I can pause these projects and these videos in YouTube anytime I want, but every now and then I like to come out here and give you guys a little bit of taste of my life and kind of teach you guys in the process. So with that being said, please enjoy the video, and I hope you guys watch the next one. If you guys got any ideas on what I should do for the next episode, leave a like and leave a comment in the comment section, and we'll see if we make it happen. Thanks again.